Good morning, evening, afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark,
And I'm Zoe.
and we are the Board Adventurers. And are you feeling hungry?
Yes, I am.
You want a slider?
Oh, yeah.
We are about to review the 1 to 4 player game White Castle, designed by Shay S. and Isra C., published by Devere Games. I apologize if I mispronounced the names. In White Castle, you are going to be trying to score victory points based on dice placement values. And so this game is over the course of 9 turns, 3 rounds of 3 turns each. And what you're trying to do is really trying to maximize the amount of actions you can do. So you're going to each get a player board, and you're going to have 3 different types of resources here. You're going to have food, iron, and mother of pearl. They're each going to be used to pay for a gardener, a warrior, and a courtier, respectively. And your courtiers and so you're going to have your courtiers at the very top. You're going to have your gardeners in the middle of your board, and you're going to have your warriors on the very bottom. You're going to get 2 starting cards, which is going to give you a starting effect for your lantern, which is at the very bottom here. You'll see right here. And you're going to get a starting ability. Why is that important? When you see the board, you're going to see one of these bridges. You're going to stack dice equal to the amount of players plus 1 on each of these bridges. On your turn, you're going to do one of 2 things. You're going to have to take one of the die, from one of the 2 ends of any of the 3 colored bridges. So let's say, for example, I took the 4. If I took the 4 and I put it on a space that has a 4 on it, I will take the action of the colored dice on there. So you're going to have spaces where it's going to tell you the color of the die somewhere in the castle. If the die matches that color, you're going to take that action, which is going to be one of various things, depending on where this piece is. I'm sorry if this doesn't match, but this should be black if you're going to take the black action. So then, if you place a die on a location and the die value is higher than that value, you're going to get coins equal to the difference. However, if you place a die that's lower than the value on that board, you're going to have to pay the difference. In a 2-player game, you can't stack dice. So in a 2-player game, you can only have 1 die in one location, but in a 3 or 4, you can stack another one on top. And it has the same ability. So if I have a 4 showing on my die, and I've placed a 3 on top of it, I would have to pay the 1 because of the difference. All right? There are 3 main locations in this game, and they interact in some sort of way. And if you look at the lower right side of the player board, you're going to see the area outside, and that's going to give you the 3 main actions you can do in this game. So the first is the gardener. The gardener lets you place a gardener space on the far left side of the board, on one of the 2 ends of the bridges. You need to pay rice, food, in order to place them at that location. The second is the castle, which is the castle symbol. That lets you place a courtier at the gate. So it lets you take up to 2 actions when you take the castle action. So you can place a courtier by paying 2 coins at the gate, or you can move a courtier at the gate or any level up 1 level by paying 2 pearl. You can also, as an option, pay 5 pearl to move any 1 courtier up 2 spaces as opposed to the 1. And the last action is the training yards, which is on the far bottom right. This lets you put any of your warriors out on the board on the top right, paying the iron required per the space. So you're going to keep going around, taking 1 die, taking 1 action, using that action to hopefully get you more resources, more pieces. And then at the end of a round, so let's say, for example, there's 3 rounds in this game. At the end of the first round, you're going to look at the board. If there's any bridge that has a die at the end of it, basically like at the end of a round, you'll have 3 dice left, and they'll be at one of the one of the ends of any of the bridges. If there is a gardener at the end of a bridge where there is a die, that gardener can take an additional action. All right. Along with that, there's a couple other locations. There's a well that gives you a daimyo. So a daimyo is almost like a conversion kind of rate. It lets you transfer to money or for resources whenever you need them. It also pays for certain things, like if you need to do a certain action. And there's also a seasons track. So the seasons track is it lets you gives you it's basically turn order. So whoever's furthest down it gets the first action for the next round. But also gives you a scaling victory points at the end of the game. At the end of 9 turns, you're going to count up points based on the distance you got on that seasons track, the level at which you got your courtier in the castle. Your gardener has victory points that are flat, and your warriors will give you victory points based on the number of courtiers you have in the castle, and that's on the scaling factor too. Whoever has the most points at the end of that at the end of round 3 will win the game. Mm-hmm. And that's really the general way of playing White Castle. What do you think?
Yeah, so White Castle is a game that kind of took me by surprise a little bit. I think a lot of the things that it does really, really well. First, just the idea that this is a mid-weight game that is a brisk 45 to 60 minute game.
Yeah, and that was with a teach.
Yeah, it's a quick game, surprisingly. I like a game that's like this in which it kind of has a strict amount of rounds that you play. It reminds me of Lost Ruins of Arnak as well, where it's kind of like, we're going to make this a round-based game. And I have to imagine, because Lost Ruins of Arnak has a similar idea as well, in which a lot of the game is trying to make one of your turns as long as possible by doing as many things as you can.
Right.
It has that kind of idea to it. And I wonder if that's why it has like a strict 9 turns and the game ends. But I like that because that makes the game under... It's an hour, which is kind of impressive for this game. Yeah. I think the dice placement works really, really, really well. I'm not the biggest fan of dice placements in which you have a solitaire roll and then you choose from the dice that you just picked. Makes it less interesting. I like that this has the 3 different colors, the 3 different the different areas of the bridge that you could put it in, and that actually means something, and that the dice options is a shared option amongst everyone in the game. So there's a decision of what number and color you want available to your opponents, not only just what you want to use. And I think that really, really works as a dice placement game for this. I even like the 3 different people that you have: the farmer, the soldier, and the courier, and how each character scores differently, do different things on the board. Especially like we have the character that can move, the courier that can move up levels and gives you different things and give you different cards that goes into your personal board.
Oh yeah, something we didn't mention was that whenever the courtier moves up a level, you can take that card, you'll take one of the white actions on that card, and then that card flips over and it adds to your lantern.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that too. And with all of those things that I like in the game, I can't say I'm passionate about it, but more so that I admire how much it gets right in this game and that I enjoy it. But it's never a game that I'm like, I really want to play this game. But I'm never going to go, I don't want to play that.
Right.
It just kind of really works for me and I have fun with it, but I'm not passionate about it.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
I really enjoyed this game. This game has kind of that same kind of hit of endorphin that I get playing Lost Ruins of Arnak. I'm trying to get the most efficient score as I can. And in this game where you only have 9 actions, you're trying to make sure every action you take can cascade into your next one or will cascade into a later action. Like, you never want to take a flat action where it'll just give you resources. Yeah. Because then that's kind of like, it seems like a waste of a turn. You want to get an action where it lets you move up something maybe that'll flip a card into your lantern, and then suddenly you can activate your lantern by playing the white action. Then your lantern gives you like resources that you can use for the next turn.
Yeah.
Or if it's the last turn of the round, and you see that there's a location that you can go to that puts a gardener out,
Yeah.
you know that you can take that gardener space if you just play it to that location.
Yeah.
So it's just little choices that you have in this game that make it just very, very appealing.
Yeah.
And like the way you can almost rotate, so like the board has locations where you can put these cube colors. This will vary from round to round. There'll be some games where you have two of the same color in one location. You could take two different actions on it.
Yeah. What's like, this is not a game in which you choose one avenue and that's the avenue that gets you to victory every time. And part of that is that like it changes from round to round. The cards that come out changes as well. You can't just like go heavy farmer every game and you're going to win, because the cards that are there for the farmer are going to be different, give you different things from game to game.
Yeah.
I like that aspect of it. I think the variability of what you can do and can't do and what you should focus on and shouldn't focus on, it's very well balanced in that way. I just think it really, really works. And you know what this game reminds me of? What's that Luciani dice placement game that we enjoy? The
Grand
Hotel.
Austria?
Reminds me of Grand Austria in terms of how the dice placements sort of work, in which it's a shared pool. And what they do is very unique.
Yeah.
And that
I'm getting that Grand Austria vibes off of this too.
Yeah, it reminds me of like a mix between Grand Austria and Lost Ruins of Arnak. Two games I really enjoy. And it really mirrors those games very well. While really adding like the farmer, soldier, and courier thing that really adds something to the game and makes it very unique. I like it. I think it works really well. It's a very impressive game in terms of a design aspect. Everything about it works.
So in terms of a score, what would you give it?
Yeah, the first couple times we played this, I think I was leaning on a 3.5. I think the more I think about the game and what the game offers and what it does, I'm going to say a 4 for this game.
Okay.
Usually for any review that we do, I always want to think of a con for the game.
Right.
There's not much of cons in this game. The only con I can actually really think of is that there are turn markers in this game that determines where you are in each turn. And how far you get up there gives you different victory points.
Right.
It's almost an afterthought in this game. It's not really a big part of the game to kind of make you go like, why is this an aspect of it? But that's super, super, super minuscule. Every other aspect of this game I really, really enjoy. I think it really works. I'm just not passionate about this game. But I do think it's a game that if you own, you should pull it out a game night.
Right. Nice.
That's kind of where I land on for this game. What about you?
Yes. I really like this game.
Is this a 5?
This isn't like a 5, but it's definitely a 4.5 for me.
Cool. Yeah.
I love the length of this game.
Yeah.
This game is like, it takes an hour with a teach, and it gives you such crunchy gameplay. The choices that you have, it's like, I want to optimize so much, but like I might have to sacrifice this one turn just so that I can do something on the next turn. Because you don't want to ever end up having no resources at all. Because then you might end up going either to the well or like trying to farm another location. And just every piece in here just feels like it's meant for something. Like the daimyo, I'm like, I need a daimyo to get another resource at some point. I need that bird symbol to move me up so that I can go first, so I can get so I can take the first die off of that. Even taking like the lowest die. So when you take the lowest die, you get all of your lantern actions. If you've built up like 5 in your lantern, taking the lower might be an optimal choice because you get so much more on your lantern.
100%.
It cascades your effects down the road to a point where like every action seems like a good action you want to take. And that's what makes me likes games like these. So it's definitely a 4.5 for me. This is a great game.
The most impressive thing that this game does is that it decided this game is going to be incredibly crunchy, with a lot of thoughtful decision making in the game, with a lot of avenues that you can take, while also respecting the gamer's time and not making this a 2 to 3 hour game to explore all those options. You can explore so much of the game in a brisk 60 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think that's super impressive, and I really like that they made that choice. But yeah, this is a great game. Cool. Well, that is our fresh off the shelf review of White Castle. Let us know your thoughts below. We'd really love to hear what people think of this game. Very curious. But yeah, I'm Zoe.
I'm Mark.
We'll see you on the next adventure.
I'm feeling some Japanese food right now.